Recently, 3 important transits have happened. In fact, 4 if you count Rahu and Ketu as 2 different planetary entities. Then you can say 4 important transits have happened last month in April. However, these transits, all 3 happening within the space of few days, few weeks, has brought upon a plethora of opportunities for us, transformations, possibilities, and high degree of probabilities as well. Now, one important thing is to look at the transits from which houses the planets are moving into. We have already done, and many other astrologers have also done, the transits for separate ascendants, how when the planets move into different houses, how they will trigger different results. But how about linking them to the dasha that you are in? So if you are in a Saturn Dasha and Saturn is placed in a certain house in your horoscope for a specific lagna, what does this mean? Because now when Saturn is gone into a certain sign, you are in Capricorn, then Ketu is 10th from it, Rahu is 4th from it, and Jupiter is 3rd from it. So for different people in different dashas, how will these 3 transits or 4 transits bring about different possibilities, different manifestations? So what I want to do is, I want to take at random some ascendant, and how for that ascendant, if you are in a certain dasha, how the transits will play out for you, because that dasha is very important, because there is a concept called as a dasha lagna, which means whichever dasha is on, you convert the planet, whichever house it is, that house into the lagna. Say for example, if you are an Aries ascendant native, if you are in Saturn Dasha and Saturn is now moved into Capricorn sign, which means now you make the Capricorn sign as the lagna and look at and analyze the results of the Dasha and the transits of the planet from there on, basis where Saturn is placed in your horoscope. So basis wherever planets are placed in your horoscope, which ascendant you are, different results will play out. So what I want to do is, I don't want to change your lagna, whichever lagna you are in, I will keep the lagna the same, but I will talk about how planets moving in for your specific lagna, taking some example at random. When planets have moved into different houses, if you are in a specific dasha, how will that dasha play out for you? Say for example, you are a Sagittarius ascendant native, and right now Saturn has moved into your second house, in the house of savings, your house of remuneration, livelihood. Jupiter has moved into your 4th house, Rahu is moved into your 5th house, and Ketu has moved into the 11th house of social results. So for a person who is of the Sagittarius ascendant native, if the person is going through a Rahu Dasha, then how will the Rahu Dasha play out for that person? So for a Sagittarius ascendant native, whichever ascendant you may be, you can keep that ascendant as the same lagna and then see which is the sign Rahu has moved into and look at it from that perspective, because Rahu Dasha is on and which house Rahu is placed on, that will take precedence over the other houses, other transits. So if you are going through a Rahu Dasha and if you are a Sagittarius ascendant native, Rahu is in the 5th house in transit. So the 5th house gets activated strongly. Now what is the 5th house? The 5th house is the house of changes in your career, speculative investments, children, romance. So all these houses and these areas are activated for a Sagittarius ascendant native. However, from Rahu's perspective, 7th house is where Ketu is placed in. So Rahu Dasha will bring about, through a career change, through your speculative investments or through your romances, an ability to be able to move higher in life, to be able to bring about a positive change and also bring about a change in career as well. And because Ketu has gone into the 11th house, which means 7th from Rahu, and Rahu Dasha is on, which means in your social status there may be also a change. Either you may be able to move up if you use the Rahu Dasha well, the Rahu transit well, because Rahu transit is on, and if you are in Rahu Dasha, then you may be able to make a change in your social status. You may even be able to move into a larger organization, changing from your last organization. And from your Rahu's perspective, Saturn has gone into the 10th house, which means career is also activated from Rahu's perspective, because in your Rahu Dasha and Rahu transit is on. So Saturn being the 10th from the Rahu's placement, so the career will also get activated. And this career change, because Jupiter is in the 5th house of a career change, this career change may also bring in more stability, because Saturn is the planet of stability, organization. It may bring in more stability in your income, in your remuneration, in your livelihood as well. But because Jupiter has gone into the 4th house, but 12th from Rahu, Jupiter will be protecting waste and excess. The 12th from any house or any planet is the waste and excess from that planet. So Jupiter with its wisdom will prevent Rahu Dasha for you to make investments in those speculative investments which may be a waste of expenditure, waste of your investments. So this will be a good Dasha for you to be able to invest in assets. Jupiter with its wisdom will protect you from making wrong, greed oriented decisions, but wise decisions. That's how you should be able to see, if you are in a Rahu Dasha, how these 4 transits of Rahu, Jupiter, Saturn and Ketu will play out for you. Now if you are in a Saturn Dasha, whichever ascendant you may be in, so here at random I have taken the Cancer ascendant. So if you are in your Saturn Dasha, Saturn has just moved into the Capricorn sign, which means this could be a Dasha of higher stability, higher ability to be able to keep those areas stable which are connected to the Capricorn sign in your respective ascendant and the results of that house. So for a Cancer ascendant native, Saturn moving into his own sign in the 7th house could mean this is the time for stability in relationships. New relationships could also come about, and from now on Saturn is promising you more stability in your relationship also, and keeping you away from the ups and downs, the upheavals you may have faced so far. Now from Saturn's perspective, Rahu has gone into the 4th house, but from your Lagna perspective, if you are of the Cancer Lagna, Rahu has gone into the 10th house, which means career is getting activated. But because Rahu is 4 from Saturn, which means ability to build more assets, build more resources from your career, from your work is also activated, because Rahu has gone into a 10th house. So here it means, because of being more tactical, more diplomatic, not manipulative in your work, with your ability to work and build rapport with your superiors at work, you may be able to build more assets at work, be able to move up, have a career change, get even a promotion and get into a more better role, better lucrative income and remuneration as well. However, because Jupiter has gone into the 3rd house from Saturn's perspective, if you are in the Saturn Dasha, which means you may need to put in higher effort. But from your Lagna perspective, Jupiter has gone into the 9th house, which means if you put in higher effort, then your fate and luck may also get triggered, because Jupiter has moved into his own sign in Pisces, and so you may be able to travel long distance because Jupiter is in the 9th house, Rahu is moved into the 10th house. So long distance travel for education, for career, for new connections, working with foreign lands, foreign clients, all this is getting activated. And moving to foreign lands is strongly activated because Ketu is moved into your 4th house from Cancer Lagna perspective. But because from the Saturn's perspective, Ketu is moved into the 10th house, which means there may be a change in career which may trigger a change in your residence also, and because of which there is a opportunity for moving up in your career, because Rahu has got into the 10th house, and in a long distance travel, working with foreign clients and getting your fate and luck also triggered. Now say you are in the Ketu Dasha and Ketu is moved into the Libra sign, and say you are a Libra Lagna itself, which means for those people who are of Libra ascendant, Ketu has moved into your Lagna. I wanted to take at least one example of the Lagna getting activated during a certain Dasha. That's why I'm using this example. So now Ketu has gone into the Lagna, which means this could be a time of high transformations. Why transformation? Because Ketu is a planet of transformations and gone into the Lagna and in the sign of Libra, which means transformations in your relationships, transformations of your synergies, transformations in your partnerships, and through that being able to bring about a change in how society looks at you, your status, your designation, your well-being. Now from Ketu's perspective and the Dasha perspective, as well as from your Lagna perspective, Saturn is in the 4th house in its own sign in Capricorn, which means through the transformation you may also be able to build assets and maybe create more order, more opportunity to bring in more organized effort at work. This could also come in because Rahu is moving into your 7th house in Aries through a new relationship which happens, because of which there is more order at home, which means instead of roaming around after work and chilling out with friends, you go straight home. There is a more structured effort in your home, in your domestic environment, and there is more orderly approach to domestic life and harmony. Now, because Jupiter has gone into the 6th house from Ketu's perspective, the Dasha as well as the Lagna perspective, being in the Libra sign, which means Jupiter is in the 6th house, which means Jupiter will give you the wisdom in its own sign to be able to handle inimical forces, competition, co-workers at work with a lot of wisdom. However, because transformation is on, Ketu has gone into the Lagna, Jupiter has gone into the 6th sign, which means you need to be very careful of your health, what you eat, and not, if you have a sugar tooth, then be very careful, because for people who are slightly older, you may also kick in either cholesterol or diabetes related results, as well as challenges in your digestive system. So be careful for those people who have a weak immune system and are prone to sickness. However, this will also give you an opportunity to be able to overcome challenges at work and to be able to do more service at work with wisdom and with tact. Now, if you are in your Jupiter Dasha, say for example somebody has a Leo ascendant and Jupiter Dasha is on. So for such an ascendant, for Leo ascendant, Jupiter Dasha is on, then Jupiter has moved into your 8th house in Pisces. So you need to be able to see the Dasha as well as from the Jupiter is moving into the 8th house plus which ascendant you are. So because Jupiter has moved into the 8th house, so the 8th house will become the prime focus because the Jupiter Dasha is on. So Jupiter moving into the 8th house, which means Jupiter will give you the wisdom to overcome transformative events, sudden challenges, sudden obstacles, with the wisdom that is required to be able to handle this. Jupiter will also give you a new innings in finance, in accounts, in learning, in teaching, in research, and higher learning and new learning also, because of which there will also be gains, because Jupiter has gone into its own sign and Rahu has gone into the 2nd house from Jupiter but 9th from the Lagna for a Leo ascendant native, which means there is a high scope for higher remuneration, earning, because of going Rahu being the 2nd from the Dasha Lagna, Jupiter Dasha being on. So the 2nd house of income, livelihood, remuneration is activated, savings is activated, but the 9th house for the Leo ascendant native of fate, luck also gets activated, which means an opportunity for higher education, higher learning, higher experiences, and through which higher remuneration, higher income also connected to foreign lands, visiting foreign places, working with foreign companies, and even traveling abroad, for example. And from Jupiter, because Ketu has gone into the 8th house but from the Lagna into the 3rd house, which means you will have to put in a lot of hard work to be able to work with different teams, work with different synergies, work with different kinds of people, because otherwise your communication may create obstacles for you, because Ketu is placed 8th from Jupiter, and Jupiter in the 8th house means obstacles are activated, and Ketu is also placed 8th from Jupiter, the Dasha of Jupiter is on. So in your communication, if you are not careful, misunderstandings can create challenges and you may have to work double or put in double the effort and work harder to be able to get results. So in your communication, be a little careful, ensure that not only you talk on the phone or maybe even send an email across, so that there is also documentation. However, this may also make you a little lazy and lackadaisical, so be ready to put in renewed energy to be able to continue to get the good results which Jupiter promises you. And because Saturn has gone into the 6th house but 11th from Jupiter, which means gains can come in at your service in your ability to work with different kinds of people. If there are any litigations, court cases, then Saturn also promises you that there will be more stability and there will be also gains and maybe even overcoming the court cases. And for those people who have relationship challenges, because Saturn also rules your 7th and the 6th house, either there will be a stability in relationship because of differences being sorted out, or even a closure of previous relationship because of challenges being overcome and the couple settling in to even separate. So this is a result which you need to be careful about. However, Saturn will still bring in gains from your work, your career, and your opportunity to be able to put dedicated and committed effort at work. Now say if you are in any other dasha, whether you are in Mars Dasha, Sun Dasha, Moon Dasha, Mercury Dasha or Venus Dasha, whichever Dasha you are in. So this, I am using this Mars Dasha as an example, but it can be changed with either Venus or with Mercury or even with Sun. And I am using Virgo ascendant as an example. You can use any ascendant in that matter, and you can change instead of Mars, Moon, Mercury, Venus, whichever Dasha you are on. So I am taking the example of Mars here. So if your Mars Dasha is on and if Mars is placed in your 10th house, then which means that the 10th house is activated, but from your Virgo Lagna, Ketu has moved into the 2nd house of income, savings, Rahu is moved into the 8th house of obstacles, research, taxation, insurances, Saturn has moved into your 5th house of change in career, romance, children, education, and Jupiter has moved into the 7th house of relationship. So from Mars perspective, Jupiter has gone into the 10th house, which means 10th house of career is activated, which means good luck and good gains could come in, but through building relationships. Why relationships? Because for a Virgo Lagna person, Jupiter has moved into the 7th house. But from Mars perspective, if Mars Dasha is on or Venus, Mercury, whatever, if they are placed in this particular house for a Virgo ascendant native, then the 10th house from that Dasha Lagna is connected, which means relationships, and through synergies and relationships at work you can get good gains because Jupiter will expand gains. But from Mars, Saturn has gone into the 8th house but into the 5th house, which means in a change in career, change in role, change in projects, there may be obstacles, there may be challenges. And if you get connected to people of the opposite gender at work, then this could either bring in stability where you can stabilize the relationship or overcome obstacles if there are any to be able to get together with this person, or even Saturn may break that relationship to get you connected to another relationship which may be more fruitful for you. And then from Mars, the Dasha which is on, you can use Venus or Mercury. I have said this before, if it's in the same sign of Gemini. For a Virgo ascendant native, Rahu has gone into the 8th house but 11th from your Dasha of Mars, which means obstacles, challenges, problems which have been so far stopping you from gains may all go away, and suddenly Rahu's movement into Aries will bring about a opportunity to be able to jump, leapfrog and get gains, sudden issues getting resolved, new gains coming out of shared property, new projects in taxation, in insurances, in finance. All these are getting activated, and IT are getting activated. However, Ketu is placed 5th from Mars but 2nd from the Lagna, which means the 5th house from Mars, which means that any changes that you do to career, any changes that you do in your romantic relationships, any changes that you do to any changes to your projects or your role at work, they may bring about a change even in your remuneration, in your income, and even eat into your savings. So you need to be careful, especially for speculative investments, because from Mars, Ketu has gone into the 5th house. So if you put in money into speculative investments, then it could wipe out your savings also. So be little careful if you are in the Mars Dasha or Venus, Mercury, whatever it is, if they are placed in the sign of Gemini in the 10th house for a Virgo ascendant native. So now you can duplicate whichever Dasha you are in, convert that into the Dasha, and from that Dasha of that planet, whether it is Venus or Mercury, from there, from your Lagna, see where Ketu is placed, Saturn is placed, Jupiter is placed, and Rahu is placed, and use this technique how I've utilized from Mars to be able to then fathom and analyze results from that Lagna perspective and from that particular planet's Dasha perspective. So friends, now that we have seen in these 3 transits, 4 transits of Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu and Ketu, based on whichever your Lagna is and whichever the Dasha is currently on, whether it is the Mars Dasha, Venus Dasha, Mercury Dasha, or the Dasha of any of these 4, how you should look into the perspective of what challenges may come about, what opportunities may come about, what your probabilities may come about basis what lagna you have and which dasha you are going on, and through that analyze what you could be looking forward and use those opportunities and overcome the obstacles which are in store for you in the coming 1 year. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.